Tail end of the game last night. Irving upset, didn't get the call. Oh my goodness! Terry Rozier!
All right, this is Mike Watkins, and welcome to the GOAT Arena Show. For our very first episode, Hannah and I will be doing weekly shows on the NBA, talking about what happened this week and keeping up with storylines. Hey, Hannah.
Hey, guys.
And we'll start with the Nets. We'll start by talking about how they look. They played 3 games looking great. But what do you think about the Nets, Hannah? Like how you think they're looking?
Honestly, their first 2 games, just like winning by blowouts, was really impressive. Kyrie and KD just like scoring, what they usually do. And overall, the team looked really good. But I think like losing Dinwiddie for the season is going to hurt a little, but they still look like one of the best teams in the East.
Definitely. Yeah, I was thinking that too. When they lost Spencer Dinwiddie, I was like, wow, that's a big loss. Like in terms of, having that go-to scorer off the bench. I mean, they still got, LeVert, and they got guys that can get their own, and Harris and whatnot, that can get buckets. But on top of being a bucket getter, he was a key facilitator. So losing him, I think that's big, and
yeah.
Even without Spencer, I mean, there'll still be a really good team. But I mean, the question's how good. Like, how good of a team do you think they can be?
I think they still have like Eastern Conference Finals potential, but like they did lose like one of their best scorers. So, and then other guys are gonna have to like step up too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I agree too. Definitely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as how they have been looking though, like you said, like I think they'll still be the best team in the East. I mean, the Bucks are looking nice, but I think they'll still be the best team because of how they looked so far. I mean, and you can attribute some of that to Spencer, but I think a big part of that was their lead guys setting the tone.
Yeah, like I didn't expect them to be like one of the best defenses in the league because like they don't have like any elite defenders on their team really. But it's like all about effort. They're coached very well too with Steve Nash. So
exactly. So I think that's been key. KD and Kyrie trying on defense. KD actually being borderline elite, low key on defense. I mean, I know they have that thing circling around about Terry Rozier dunking on him, but I mean, that's that he's actually contesting. You know what I'm saying? Because when you contest, like Rudy Gobert's been on like 20 of those because he's actually playing defense. When you play defense, that's going to happen. So I like that. I don't think that's a bad sign. I like that.
like KD coming back from that kind of injury, like I didn't expect him to like really put effort defensively and that kind of stuff. But yeah, he has, and which led to like the Nets. He set the tone for all the other guys.
Definitely. Yeah, but I agree. And honestly, I guess one more thing about the Nets I was thinking about too was how KD and Kyrie, how they create opportunities for others because the fact that you have to, guard them when they go in the paint or whatever. It makes easy shots for like Harris, for example. He's able to just hit threes wide open and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I like
find him in the corner, just like sitting there.
Exactly. He just chilling there like, hey, I'm ready. Just chilling there, just drinking tea, just sitting on a stool or something, just waiting for the ball. I mean, that's basically what he's doing because you got a double, triple Kyrie, and it's tough. But yeah, they look good. I mean, I would still pick the Lakers, but they're looking like one of the teams that I wouldn't want to face if I was Lakers. But that's what I'm thinking, But
yeah, same.
Then transition to our next topic. What did you think about like some of last week's games? There were a lot of games that were going on last week.
I think Paul George was solid. He played very well against like the Lakers and what was the other game? He played very well. I forgot. But like against the Nuggets, I think.
Oh yeah, Nuggets. Yeah.
Yeah, he played, but like those two, and then against like the Mavs, they lost by like 50, which was really embarrassing. Like I was watching that game, I'm like, what? You couldn't even score like 50 at the half or anything like that.
They should be out there. I would have got a bucket somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like the Clippers showed like how weak they really are. without Kawhi. So that's why I don't really see them making it far again this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thoughts on that particular matchup too with the Clippers with all their matchups. Paul George and Kawhi, they looked good, right? Versus the Lakers, they looked really good. They dominated on both ends. You know, Montrez was giving AD trouble, and I think that's a positive sign because the reason they picked, I mean, not Montrez, I'm tripping. Serge Ibaka was giving AD trouble,
Yeah.
and I think that's good because the reason they picked him up is like, hey, we need someone to guard AD. He showed he can do it some. And then and the Nuggets they looked good too. But like you said, when it came down to the Mavs, I mean, it was a depleted Mavs team because KP wasn't there, right? I mean, that's inexcusable.
Yeah.
You look Kawhi out. That's inexcusable because, in my opinion, the KP loss was bigger than the Kawhi one to me. And that may be controversial, but I
Why
think
do you
that
think that?
because the Mavs team, I mean, I was watching First Take the other day, and Mark Cuban put it this way: the Mavs are two different teams with KP. There's a team with KP, a team without KP, and I don't know why, but without Kristaps Porzingis, they're just so terrible. But we've seen the Clippers without Kawhi win games. You know what I'm saying? We've seen them look still like a good, well-oiled machine. So that's why it's like, and to me, Paul George and Kawhi, they're kind of redundant. That's why I wasn't big on their fit when they went. They kind of do the same things, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
While the Mavs don't have anyone that can replicate what KP does. So when you don't have him, who do you replace him with? We don't have Kawhi. Paul George can replace him to some degree. He can defend. He can pass. You know what I'm saying? So to me, like, the Mavs should have had a more of an excuse to lose, in my opinion. Even though Kawhi's a better player, I think KP was more important to what the Mavs do. He provides the space and he anchors that defense. When he's not there, that defense statistically is just they really need KP, you know. So yeah, but that's my opinion. Like, and even if you want to say Kawhi was more important, you shouldn't. I mean, it was a historic loss since the shot clock era. No team has ever had a deficit that bad going into halftime. I mean, that's inexcusable. When you got Paul George, you got Lou, you got a good team. I mean, you know, that was terrible. But what do you think
Yeah.
about? You know, are there any other matchups that stood out to you as well?
I think the Pacers have been really impressive. Like, I don't know if they'll keep it up, but they're like 3-0 right now, and they looked really good against the Celtics,
Oh yeah, definitely.
who are in the top of the Eastern Conference, one of the best teams too. And like a team that looked really bad to me was like the Warriors. They look like Kelly Oubre has been like trash. Like he's been trash.
I mean,
So has Wiggins, but like I knew Wiggins would be trash this season.
say with your chest, huh? That's facts. That's facts. Don't be saying that they were garbage.
Like Wiggins, literally, I mean not Wiggins.
Sewer water. That's
Oubre literally cannot make a shot that's not like a dunk. Like the best thing he's good at doing is looking good, basically. He's just there to like look good. Like
yeah.
I feel bad for Steph. Like they barely beat the Bulls yesterday. Like Damian Lee had to like hit that shot to beat the Bulls, who I think is like the worst team in the league right now. Like come on. Like that team is just so bad. Like they probably won't make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's rough. And I mean, for those who follow Go to Randy, y'all saw a post I made. Give my thoughts and sentiments on Golden State, and basically ran along what Hana was saying. You know, Steph Curry's having to deal with two players that can't buy a shot right now. Can't buy a shot at all right now.
Who were expected to be their like second and third best
Exactly.
player.
They were expected to be the second
Since Draymond is
player.
playing.
I mean, it's like if you gave them a real gun and you told them, hey, hit this target, and you had a whole bunch of people around them, they would just hit the people. They would hit the crowd. It would be, it would be terrible. You wouldn't be
Literally,
able to trust them.
Ricky James Wiseman has been better than them.
Yeah,
He's been better.
That shouldn't be the case. Kelly Oubre looking good last year, you know, giving you 17 plus.
I don't know what happened to him too. Like,
I
how do you
don't
just go from being a solid NBA player to being like trash? Like, I don't get it. Like,
I don't get it. And then Wiggins, maybe they felt a lot of pressure. Maybe it's a mental thing. But I think another part of it too, and I mentioned this in the post, was that I feel like they're trying to, when you watch them, it looks like they're trying to run the same system. And to be fair to them, you know, Mookie, and he's a member of GO, brought this out. Steve Kerr only had so much time to prepare after Clay. So it's like how much time you have to change your
Yeah, that
system.
was so sudden
But
too.
they're having them still shoot, a lot of threes. In fact, about like half Kelly Oubre's shot attempts are threes. So that's kind of making it hard too to get in a rhythm when you're forced to shoot when you're on a cold streak and you're forced to shoot shots that you're not even that good at. Like Kelly can hit those, but that's not his bread and butter. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not like a 3-point guy. So that makes it hard to get into rhythm. So maybe Steve Kerr as a coach can change it up and that would do something. But until they do that, Steph's going to have trouble having to get around double, triple teams. The game plan, all those games when I was watching, it was just been focused on Steph. Go at Steph. Wiseman has been his only bright spot. You know what I'm saying? His only bright spot. He could hit him down low. But you need your perimeter guys to show up, especially because Steph likes to get his buckets off the ball a lot. And he can't do that right now. So coach change it up. And also maybe just for now have Steph be more ball dominant, kind of like Dame and Harden are. I mean, just have him dominate the ball, dictate everything.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's just been tough. I mean, it's just been tough for them. And then another matchup I thought was interesting. I don't know how you felt about this one, but the Brooklyn versus the Celtics matchup, the Nets versus the Celtics. I thought that was interesting, because it to me Brooklyn proved they're a good defensive team. I mentioned earlier first defensive rating, but you saw KD just giving Tatum trouble. I mean, it was just crazy watching what he was doing to Tatum. And just the whole team defensively just going at it, going for steals, intensity on both ends, and showing their depth. Because the Celtics, I noticed the Celtics don't have a bench at all, man. Like they don't have. I mean, it's terrible. They don't really have much.
I'm really skeptical about the Celtics.
Very skeptical. And Kemba being out, what do you think about that? Because I mean, I think that's a big loss. They don't. To me, I didn't see another point guard that could replace them. I like Brown and Tatum as passers. They've improved, but they had a lot of turnovers, and so did that rookie they were playing at the guard spot too. Because to me, they're just not those playmakers. I think that's a big loss, Kemba.
Yeah. When is Kemba coming back?
That's a good. I'm honestly not sure. I hope it's soon.
He's been really injury prone, to be
Yeah, he's
honest.
been really injury prone, and that's what got you thinking like maybe they need to get a point guard somewhere because Tatum and Brown, I mean, they're good. They're how to put it. They're solid enough passers, but they're not ideal playmakers. Like having them set up, and the Celtics having so many turnovers kind of showcases that. They really need to get that point guard there to truly, get that offense going, or else they're not going far in the playoffs. It's going to be Bucks and maybe Brooklyn West Conference Finals, something like that. But yeah, that was
Yeah, I feel like my opinion, I feel like Philly is better than the Celtics. Like I feel like a point guard like Kyle Lowry would be perfect for the Celtics. Like perfect. Because like Kemba is like more like, he looks to score, like he's not a pass first guy or anything like that. And like I'd rather a point guard be like Kyle Lowry to like complement Brown and Tatum better and stuff.
think he's a better leader too. No offense to Kendall, but I think Flowers.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And a better defender too.
Yeah, so
Just
that's
fits the Celtics better. And I think the Celtics should like part with Kemba soon. Like trade him or something. If they can. While he still has some value.
exactly. Yep. So that's what I was thinking. And I guess the last matchup I wanted to talk about personally was the Rockets versus the Blazers. I thought
That was a fun game.
that was a very fun game. A lot of offense, not too much defense. Dame was getting buckets. CJ, man, CJ reminds me of Paul George in that when he's cold, but when he's hot, he's hot. And he was hot. He was hot. He was cooking. But even though the Rockets lost, I think it's a positive sign because I mean Cousins wasn't playing. We had John Wall not playing. It was so we had a lot of guys out, and we still kept it close. And it took a 44-point game from CJ, like a crazy game he's probably not going to have again. I mean, he can get hot, but not like that. For them to beat us without John Wall. And I like Wood, man. I like Wood and the Harden dynamic.
Wood was very impressive.
Man, Wood is nasty. Wood is like I call him baby AD. he's like a I'm not gonna say poor man, but he's like a lesser Anthony Davis, right? He can shoot from different spots, right? Very versatile, good and pick and roll.
Yeah.
Good and pick a pops too, because he could hit that shot. He doesn't have the same handle as AD to me. Like AD has a better handle. I think that's partly because he played point. You know what I mean? Better handle. I like AD
Mhm.
defensively better, but I mean, he's got all those moves, man. He's so versatile, so versatile.
Yeah, I really like that. Like him and Harden combined for like 75 points, I think,
That's crazy.
and like 20 assists. And
Yeah,
it was his debut too, which was really impressive.
yeah,
Like
I was
like
sleeping
it
on.
was sorry, like on the Pistons, like he started and like a lot of people were like skeptical. They're like, oh, that was like a small sample size. Like I don't know, like if he'll replicate this on like any other team. And like there he is, like dropping 31, 13 in his debut. Like he's gonna be a very important part of the Rockets. Probably be their like second best player,
Definitely,
depending on how Boogie and Wall play. You know, they're not themselves anymore, but I think Wood is like one of the most underrated players in the league. So
I agree, 100%. You know, and some Pistons fans and Goat like Goat Arena like Judah were trying to tell me like, hey, he's a great pickup, man. Y'all gonna love him. He's gonna give you 24 a night. I'm like, I don't know, man. It was a short stretch, you know, but I mean, we'll see. And hey, he's been right so far. You know, Wood has been getting his own, getting buckets. Just really good player. I mean, you know, I don't think he's transcended like AD, but I think he's at his peak. He's still like a really good star player. You know, close to superstar, I think. So he's worth having. You know, maybe that will motivate Harden to stay. But regarding the Blazers, though, what I got from that is I don't know if they're going to be as good as I thought they were. You know, as a team, because Dame hasn't been that hot. And I don't know. They just haven't. I mean, we're just a few games in, but I don't know.
yeah, like Dame didn't even have his best game. Like if you watch the game, you could see like he was like struggling with his shot, missing a lot
Yeah,
of shots. But though, and then even it wasn't even his best game. He had 32 and like 9 assists and stuff. And I
exactly.
feel like, yeah, I feel like the Blazers, like a lot of people are like, oh, they'll be a top 3 seed and stuff like that.
That's what I thought.
Like they could be a top 3 seed, but like I don't think they're a top 5 team
Hmm.
in the West.
That's true.
Like
Like
I take the Mavs
sometimes
over
you
them.
finish top three as a seed, but you're not that good as a team. Just
Yeah, like it doesn't really matter where you place, to be honest. The teams that place like lower than you can still be better than you.
exactly. I mean, that's the truth. That's the truth. We saw that with the Mavs. I mean, taking the Clippers 6 games. KP was healthy. Maybe would have beat that higher seeded team. So yeah, that's facts. And I guess good transition. You know, we looked at these last 3 games and whatnot. But what do you think about next week? Any matchups to look forward to? Anything to look out for? You know.
I'm kind of excited for like the Heat versus Bucks, and I think they verse twice next week. Wait, do they?
Hmm.
I think they verse twice next week.
Yeah, I believe. Yep. Yep.
On back-to-back days.
It's crazy.
That's weird. It'd be
Yeah,
funny if like the Heat wins both. Like I'd laugh because the Bucks like they literally just got blown out by the Knicks. Like,
that's true.
which I'm a Knicks fan, so that made me happy. They looked really like they couldn't defend us, which that's weird because like they have like they're like one of the best defensive teams in the league, and they let Alfred Payton drop like I think like 29 or something like that.
Yeah.
That was like 27. That was funny.
It's crazy. You know, he kind of likes to pass. So if he dropping, I mean, that's kind of, yeah, that's
Yeah,
not
he
a
had like
good
10
thing.
assists too, I think.
Yeah, that's not a good. Yeah, that should be. Yeah, but what about that matchup you look forward to? Is it like you want to see Jimmy go at Giannis or something, or is it something?
Um, like I think the Heat is better. I think they're a better team. Like I'm really high on the Heat this year. Like I wasn't high on them last year too, but like this year I think I'll save my bold prediction for later. But
Okay. Oh, so you get something about them either. Yeah, yeah. I
yeah. So
mean, I would like that matchup too, just to see. And also, I mentioned this in Go Arena as well. If you're watching, you could check out the post. It was regarding basically the how the Bucks are looking so far. And I talked about how I mean I like how they're having Giannis play a little more like a big man at times. You know, having them more on the block sometimes, having Drew initiate the offense sometimes. You know, little changes like that. But with that being said, you know, I still think, like you said, they got to work on some things, get accustomed defensively, offensively. as a unit, try to figure stuff out because they haven't been. I don't know. They just haven't looked as great. I mean, I like the changes they're making, but in terms of like producing with those changes, that's kind of what I need to see. I like Drew. I like the playmaking he brings. You know, the defense. I like the way he guarded Steph. I mean, he locked up Steph in their matchup.
Yeah,
But
and
just as
Middleton
an
too,
overall
as we
team,
brings
it's
up.
like I gotta see it gel together better.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're gonna end here. Thank you so much for listening or watching if you saw it on YouTube.
Yeah, thanks guys for listening. We'll be back next week to talk about more NBA.
This is our very, very first episode, so it would really mean a lot if you'd be the first to subscribe and give it five stars or hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.